Hey, what's up, guys? Tuki here, back again with another episode of my Florida Panthers franchise mode series right here in NHL 20. Surprised I got through that without messing it up. It's still new to me. In the first episode of this series, we just went for it. We kept the team the same, of course, and started the sim, and so far, so good. We are in first place in the Atlantic Division. And it led to the question over whether or not we should be keeping trades off. Of course, we kept trades off from the start to see how the season would play out with the updated rosters, which, by the way, of course, as per usual, people are like, man, what about this rating? It's a bit too low. And then people argue over 1 or 2 overall points. And it's like, really? We're going to argue over 2 overall points? But to that point, the big question heading into this episode was whether or not we were going to turn trades back on. Now, admittedly, I recorded the Russian episode that went up alongside this, and, I recorded that before this episode, and after seeing what happens when you turn trades on, I'm going to keep them off for Season 1. We are going to keep the team, every team, exactly the same, and we're going to see who is the best of the best, or at the very least, who ends up winning the Stanley Cup. So this might end up being a shorter episode. It might even end up being a playoff episode. Time will tell. But maybe, just maybe, it does benefit us a little bit to have, prevented the AI from making trades because, our team is obviously firing on all cylinders right now. We didn't really have any moves to make, but still, I am very, very intrigued to see what team ends up winning in Season 1 when the AI is forced to keep their rosters the same. And right now, we're absolutely crushing it. Back-to-back losses for the first time in a long time, but this Panthers team is absolutely killing it. 46 wins through 65 games as of March 1st. 96 points. Sasha Barkov, still over a point a game. What we're going to do really quickly is go back over to the rules, and before I forget, what we are going to do is put computer trades back on. So there we go. That way we don't forget heading towards the draft. But for now, these teams are set and established. So a quick look again at the standings. And what I want to do is take a look at our power play percentage as well, which is currently 26.8%. The penalty kill at 83.5%, which is very, very good. Boston and Buffalo also in playoff spots. Montreal and Tampa are in it. Toronto technically not out of it, of course. Detroit's still in it. Ottawa, the only team in the Atlantic out of the playoffs right now. In the Metro, it's Pittsburgh, the Islanders, and Devils. Columbus is very much in it, but then everybody else is pretty much out of it. Philly, Carolina, Washington, and the Rangers are basically out of the playoffs already. In the Pacific, it's Arizona, Vegas, and San Jose. The Canucks on 64 points. A playoff spot right now is 66. So Vancouver's in it. Anaheim, LA, and Calgary. Edmonton, the only team in the Pacific that's out of it. And in the Central, it's Minnesota, Dallas, and Colorado. Of course, Chicago and St. Louis in a playoff spot. Winnipeg and Nashville basically out of it. Speaking of which, alongside today's videos, alongside the Russian episode, I should have a video out talking about Peter Laviolette being fired. So check that out if you haven't already. We are the top team in the league. By far. By far. That is insane. I believe only 3 teams have won 40 games. Correct. And we've won 46. 46 games. 46. Let's see how the month of March goes. If this team continues at this pace, it's going to go down as a very, very interesting season with a lot of pressure, I'd say, on our shoulders heading into the playoffs, and maybe, just maybe, we shouldn't have any expectations as we hit 50 wins easily. I genuinely don't understand how this team's doing this well. We're going to be pushing 60 wins on the year at this rate. We've seen in NHL 20 already teams having regular success and it meaning absolutely nothing once it comes to the playoffs. This Panthers team, if you win 60 games and we fail in the playoffs, that is going to be a very tough pill to swallow. As we play the Bruins and lose, we play the Rangers and lose. So 60 wins is now officially out of it. We only have 2 games left this season. It's against Ottawa and Washington. We know that we've clinched the conference already. The question is, are we going to be heading into the playoffs on a losing streak? And it looks like that is the case. Whew. Nice little 4-game losing streak, losing 5 out of our last 6 to end the season. So maybe that was just their way of taking the pressure off of themselves by absolutely choking down the stretch. But ultimately, it is a 57-win season, 119 points. We will be taking on the Tampa Bay Lightning in the first round. We're going to lose that, aren't we? Boston plays Toronto because, of course, and Montreal will be playing the top team in the Metro. Buffalo just misses out. Detroit fell off the pace, and of course, Ottawa was never really in it. So the top team in the Metro that Montreal will be playing are the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Islanders will play the Caps, who made it into the playoffs on tiebreaker over the Devils. And the Flyers, the Blue Jackets, too far off the pace. Rangers and Hurricanes down at the bottom. In the Pacific, you had the Sharks win the division, because of course, and they will be taking on the Minnesota Wild, was it? No, the Chicago Blackhawks. The Minnesota Wild will be taking on Vancouver. You have Arizona and Vegas. I mean, again, Anaheim down, just no one was ever really even close. And in Colorado, we'll be playing Dallas, St. Louis, Winnipeg, and Nashville. We're never really in it. So you have a lot of teams that you would expect to do better that just outright failed. And then you have this situation here where we won the President's Trophy in Season 1. Because, of course we did. How do we go from a series where we have all the pressure in the world on our shoulders to win to starting another series where it's like, okay, we got a little bit of work to do. LOL, never mind. You have pressure on your shoulders right out of the gates. No player on our team, though, was over a point a game. You had Sasha Barkov, 80 points, 35 goals. Dadonov was 76, 73 for Huberdeau, 68 and 31 goals for Hoffman, 66 points for Trocheck, and 61 for Brett Connolly. So the top 6 absolutely carried us. Decent from the third line of Boyle and Malgin. Vetrano, though, struggled a little bit. Achari, Skeevier, and Hunt. I mean, the bottom 6 did really well. Injuries are on, but we didn't have many of that, this season. Keith Yandle's a beast. Ekblad did very well. Really, there's no complaints about this team. And Sergei Bobrovsky with that 918. Chris Dreger was an unbelievable backup. So I wouldn't be surprised if that overall jumps quite a bit heading into the next season due to morale and just the way this game works. As Nathan MacKinnon is the only player to break the 100-point mark, so perhaps high scoring is the way to go. It's often tough to tell just because I really haven't been able to find a balance that I like when it comes to scoring being just right to reflect the modern day NHL. But it looked like McDavid was going to be well over 100 points. He didn't even make it. Nathan MacKinnon's the only guy to hit 50 goals. Ovechkin, Pacioretty, Ben Eichel, and Laine all hit 40. And amongst defensemen in the league, John Carlson was tops. Klingberg, Yandel, and Erik Karlsson all broke 60 points as well. For the hell of it, the goal-scoring king, McAvoy and OEL with 17 each. Goaltenders, the winningest was Sergei Bobrovsky. No real surprise there. Shutout king was Matt Murray with 8. He had a .920 save percentage, but that probably won't be enough for the Vezina. It's looking like it's going to be Darcy Kemper. Kemper's going to win the Vezina. Matt Murray was up there. Martin Jones, Carter Hutton for starters. And the rookie race, Alex Nylander is going to steal it away from Capo Caco. Damn, Hughes broke 50. Cale Makar hit 50 as a defenseman. 26 goals for Philip Zadina. Why doesn't Quinn Hughes have a picture? Because I haven't used EA's most recent update, of course. So that brings this first regular season at least, to a close, which is insanity to me. And we get the joy of playing the Tampa Bay Lightning in the first round. The question and the answer to whether or not we sim this is yes. Let's get right down to business. We're going to see what this team is capable of in the playoffs. This is the Lightning team that we're going up against. Killorn, Point, and Kucherov, Maroon, Stamkos, Palat, Gord, Cirelli, Johnson, Verhaeghe, Paquette, and Matthew Joseph. Defensively, it's Hedman, Shattenkirk, Sergachev, McDonough, Coburn, and Aruda, with Andrei Vasilevsky between the pipes. No injuries, but healthy scratches for Cernak, Shen, and Luke Witkowski. It really does speak for itself as far as what the hell we're up against here, doesn't it? I'd say it does. By the way, this might be the fastest we've ever made it through a regular season in a non-draft to glory style series. We're obviously going to keep the team the same. There's no reason to make any changes. We're just going to sink or swim with the team that we inherited and see what the hell they can do and whether or not a 57-win season is going to go to waste. So here we go. It's playoff time. Game 1 against the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Battle of Florida. For Florida? Of Florida. Regardless, here we go. First period of Game 1, and Tampa takes the early lead. Tyler Johnson with the goal. They doubled us up in shots. Second period, we tie it. Evgeny Dadonov, 20 shots to 19. Dead even on the board. Next goal is going to be important. 5-on-3 for the Lightning. Extended power play time doesn't work out for them. And we'll see what happens here. Brett Connolly with the goal to give us the lead. We are approaching the final stretch, the home stretch of this game. Can we hold on here? 2.5, 1 minute, 28 seconds, and Cedric Paquette ties it with 4 seconds left on a shot from the blue line. We're going to overtime. I don't even want to bother hyping this up. Like, just, really? Are we going to choke in Game 1? It looked like Brett Connolly's goal was going to be the winner. Power play for the Cats. Extended power play for the Cats. Goes to waste. Tampa's going to win this. Tampa is absolutely going to win this, aren't they? Are we going to double overtime? Where I still think Tampa's going to win it. It looks like we are, but we've seen late goals before. We are going to double overtime in Game 1. Cedric Paquette, you monster. People were that close to being able to go home. You should feel terrible. You know how double OT works. This is going to end within 3 to 5 seconds tops. Here we go. Who's going to win it? I hope it's us. Double overtime power play. We're dead. Yep. Nikita Kucherov on the power play. Cedric Paquette ties it with 4 seconds left. Kucherov on the power play in double OT wins it. And we choked. We choke away a victory in Game 1. That is brutal. Not a great game for our top pairing. The big question is, how the hell did our power play not convert, I would say. I mean, the third period, double minor on Malgin, then Achari went to the box 30 seconds later. There was a double minor high sticking call on Jan Ruda that we could not take advantage of in that overtime. Absolutely brutal. And a great way to start off a playoff series. We go to Game 2. I'm not changing anything about this team. They won 57 games. If they can't get it done in the playoffs, then hey, that gives us some interesting options heading into this first offseason where Mike Hoffman and Evgeny Dadonov, amongst others, are free agents. First period of Game 2, and a 3-1 lead for the Cats. Mike Hoffman scores early. Shattenkirk ties it. Ekblad regains the lead over a minute later, and then Hoffman scores again. It's 3-1 at the end of 20 minutes. Damn. Don't blow this, please. Second period. Oh, God, I thought they were going to score goals. We're okay. Third period, up by 2. We blew the lead in Game 1. Accidentally quick-simmed. Kucherov scored, but it was not enough. We hold on this time. 3-2 is your final. Mike Hoffman with a 2-goal game and a 29-save effort from Sergei Bobrovsky. They lead the way. Connolly, the third star, with 2 assists. And while it would be nice to have a 2-0 series lead, it's a short travel, at least, to Tampa, as we have a 1-1 split heading into Game 3. Let's see what happens here, shall we? First period, advantage Tampa. Stamkos with the opening goal. Barkov with a shorty, but Yanni Gord, another late goal. 55 seconds left in the period. Tampa snags the lead. Second period, Tampa adds to the lead. The big rig Patrick Maroon with the goal. 3-1. Heading into the third, Tampa is able to do what we couldn't. We were able to hold on in the last game. And it's okay. It's the Mikhail Sergachev show. That's what it is. A goal and then a power play goal 2 minutes later. 5-1 for the Lightning. You see why Game 1 was such a disaster with us throwing away a lead. That was an embarrassment. 5-1 final in Game 3. And this 57-win team is down 2-1 to the Lightning in this series. But again, I am sticking to my guns on this. I'm not changing anything. These lines, the D pairing, they stay the same. Sink or swim. Show your worth to us. It's Game 4. And you're facing a very embarrassing situation if you were to fall short here. First period is scoreless, 13 shots to 7. Vasilevsky is a beast. Second period, Yanni Gourde gets another goal. We go to the third, 28 shots to 14, yet we trail by 1. If we cannot score here, it's a problem. Tampa on the power play, that goes to waste. Evgeny Dadonov with the goal, tied at 1. Mike Hoffman scores again, up by 1. Extended power play goes to waste. Is that the opening Tampa needs to get back into the game? 3.5 left. Will there be another late Cedric Paquette goal? Thank God there will not be. And this series is tied at 2 apiece through the first 4 games of this series. We could very easily be up 3-1. We could very easily be down 3-1. So I suppose it all comes out in the wash, and all is fair, as the Springfield Thunderbirds, the worst AHL team, who I will never root for their success, have made the playoffs. They're playing the Wilkes-Barre-Scranton Penguins. We'll pay attention to that if we get the opportunity, but for now, it's Game 5. 57 wins. How many times do these virtual players need to hear it? Do not choke, please. First period advantage. Jonathan Huberdeau finally gets on the board in this series. They had a slight edge of shots. We have the edge on the scoreboard. Second period. Kucherov and Stamkos show up. We go to the third, down by 1. The advantage in shots for Tampa. We tie it up, though. Sasha Barkov, Vinny Trocheck. There we go. Some of our quiet names on the top 6 showing up when it counts. Power play, Evgeny Dadonov. The big names are carrying us right now. It's 4-2 as Tampa wastes a power play. And from the looks of it, the Panthers are going to have a chance to end this series in 6. The big names show up. The big names carry. The big names deliver. We are looking good. Back-to-back wins following that 5-1 loss. We go to Game 6 with a chance to end this series and move on to play the Leafs, who beat the Bruins in 5. Game is unrealistic. It's Game 6. We're not making changes. Sink or swim. As we said, our first ever playoff series comes much sooner into the series than honestly I thought it would. Here we go. First period of Game 6 and a huge first period. Barkov, Connolly, Trocheck. The top 6 is carrying. Power play goal for Vinny. It's 3-0. Second period, it's 4-2. Gourde scores. Barkov scores a minute and 10 later. Killorn, a late goal, gets it back to a 2-goal game. As we head to the third, Tampa fighting for their lives here. We're fighting to make sure that we don't go to Game 7 in our very first playoff series following a 57-win season as we trade power play chances. Unsuccessful power play attempts. 7 minutes left, and the Florida Panthers are going to survive this. Noel Acciari with the dagger, maybe. Gourde, late goal. He handled the empty netter. That's it. The Florida Panthers somehow live up to expectation. 57 wins and a first-round playoff series victory over the Tampa Bay Lightning, who underperformed in the regular season. And we take advantage of that, and we bounce them. All the talks of struggles of getting out of the first round in other series, not here and not today. Huberdeau, great. Barkov, great. Dadonov, great. Hoffman was great. Trocheck was great. Connolly was solid. That third line, they existed. The fourth line, they existed. Hopefully they can wake up a little bit like they did in the regular season. Aaron Ekblad was phenomenal. No real complaints. And then Sergei Bobrovsky. 916 was enough to get the job done and to see us win this series. So typically with the series, of course, it's more interesting long-term to pick a team that you have to build up. This could be a very different series where we start off on a very, very high note. We will be hosting the Toronto Maple Leafs, home ice advantage over Matthews, Tavares, and Moore in the second round as Pittsburgh plays the Islanders. We will be playing the Leafs in the Western Conference. It is Dallas and Vancouver, San Jose, who made it out of the first round, lucky them, and the Arizona Coyotes. A much different start to this series than what we normally see, but just how different is it going to be? We'll find out as we continue along.